Thank you. Thank you very much, Ilan, for the introduction. Also, on a personal note, thank you, Ilan, for being such an inspiration for women and young girls in Israel, including my daughter. So thank you. Thank you for joining us physically and virtually. There's been a lot of discourse about technologies and innovation coming from Israel, but globally. And the one thing that is missing is, the roads that we're driving is congested as ever. We're seeing more and more casualties, regardless of the innovation that we're just seeing in our own eyes. And with this panel, with the help of the panelists here, I would like to kind of investigate a little bit more on the gaps, on why is still we're seeing those gaps. And we have also two of the use cases from the private sector talking about their experience working with local governments and municipalities. So I would like to start with Joanna. Joanna, thank you for joining us. So Uber was one of the pioneers in mobility as a service, and you didn't really ask anyone, you just acted. You were pioneering. A lot of the municipalities were still kind of sitting on the fence. But since then, you have matured in a tremendous way. And can you please share with us your experience and also some use cases of working together more as a partnership with municipalities, with local governments, and seeing this kind of mature?
Yes, of course. Hello, Sagi. Hi, everyone. First of all, thanks for having me. What a pity not to be able to be there in person. I hope that there will be another opportunity soon. To your question, yes, you are right. We started in a rather disruptive way. Uber started as a black car service before expanding into proper ride sharing. And I think back at the time, we were seeing ourselves as a technology disruptor within a category that was not anymore, or not always and not everywhere, really served the needs of its customers. At least that's how we felt. And we thought that we wanted to change the rules of the game and offer a better service. Now, what we learned over the years is that we could actually serve a better, broader, bigger mission and transition from being a black car service to a proper transportation platform. And in order to do that, we certainly needed to change some of our ways. And there has been, to Uber's credit, quite a big transformation, both externally and internally. And we've learned, I believe, quite effectively over the years to work with local and central governments to really and truly transform how people get around. Today our vision is that we want anyone to be able to open our app around the world and choose from a variety of transportation options. And in order to achieve that, quite clearly, we need to partner with all the actors, in the broader mobility arena, whether it's municipalities, central governments, or other private providers of other transportation modes. You asked me about use cases. There are, in fact, plenty of examples where this vision is a reality. So if you open our app now in some of the big capitals around the globe, like Paris or London or New York, you will find a quite wide variety of transportation options. You'll find lots of integrated micromobility solutions like Lime scooters or e-bikes or even mopeds. You find shared services such as Uber Pool alongside our core product UberX. You also find more than 40 cities where we have launched Uber Green, that is electric vehicles, as we are on the path to deliver some quite aggressive commitments, especially in Europe, on electrification. And you find lots of public transit options. So, for example, in partnership with the Paris municipality, or London, or Lisbon, or Madrid, or Rome, and many more. So some of the use cases that I can mention are in cities such as Chicago, London, Mexico City, Sydney, where we offer riders the ability to actually plan ahead an integrated journey that includes both public transportation and Uber trips. promoting, therefore, a dual usage of transportation in that sense. We have more novelty situations like the one in Dallas, Texas, where what the city of Dallas does is to offer its citizens subsidize Uber pool trips within several zones around the city so that they can complement their existing bus and rail service. There are areas of the cities where it will not be economical for the municipality to operate their routes, and therefore offering shared rides through Uber pool is the most efficient for the municipality and for citizens way of reaching those routes. And you can actually then use that service either directly through the Uber app or through the Dallas City Transit app. Another use case is what we recently launched in Munich and Berlin, where Uber is now provided as a last mile service from metro stations. Generally, what all of those examples point to is that Uber and generally ride-hailing platforms really thrive in those cities where there is a strong public transit infrastructure. And to this effect, there has been a study that we've commissioned in 8 cities globally, where we wanted to see how mobility recovered after the pandemics, or hopefully hopefully we're done with that. And the study, I think, will be released later this month. But anyway, what
Gianna,
that shows...
please, just final comments, because I would like to move to the next guest. Thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry. Absolutely.
Okay, have you concluded?
Oh, yes, you were asking me to conclude. I didn't catch
thank
that.
you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes.
So the next question is Secretary Wilson. So I mentioned a little bit about local governments and municipalities kind of sitting on the fence, seeing all the technology coming in, but kind of deciding not to take a position. But now we're seeing that transition in leadership and taking also some risks. I would love if you can share some of your inputs and also your experience with your fellow colleagues.
Sure, Sagiv. So, as the Prime Minister mentioned earlier, technology is a global issue. So are issues of congestion and fatalities on our roads and problem points. And you're right that municipalities historically have not been systematically engaged at bringing the solutions. State departments of transportation, larger governmental entities, in fact, are. I think that's changing quite a bit, in large part because of the disruptiveness of services like Uber. I can tell you, as the state regulator for T&Cs in Louisiana, it can be painful when you bring a new resource, a new asset to a community and just drop it. We saw it with scooters, we see it with other micromobility solutions, we see it with T&Cs, but they actually prove to be very valuable, and it challenges state governments and local governments to accommodate that particular asset. You may have noticed that the bipartisan infrastructure bill passed and was signed and is going to be transformative for these type of technological advances, specifically in the area of safety, mobility, and engagement, with a lean toward equity. And so there's going to be resources that are going to be available, significant amounts of resources, over $1.2 trillion in the United States, which is one of the exciting reasons why I'm here, is because you've got so many startups with technological solutions that actually work. That's of value to us. And so the secret is really tapping into that local government, trying to help them from the state level, from a national level to a local level, to implement these types of resources in a way that produces real results. And so I think all the locals will value saving lives and reducing congestion and making their citizens have less time in transit or in mobile solutions to get to their destinations. But you're right, it's an evolving process, and I think the more activity that we see, the more likely local officials are to be able to take chances and to take risks. And I would also tell you that it's important, particularly for companies that are learning and looking to expand globally, think about it in terms of the political timeline, because a mayor may be elected for 4 years. Their council may be elected for 4 years, and if they get another one, that's an 8-year window to be transformative. And so a lot of times to take these risks, you can't do it in year 1 or year 2, but you can do it in year 3, possibly, and maybe even year 4 to help you get year 5. And year 5 on, you can really knock the ball out the park with innovation and disruptive solutions that actually bring value to your citizens.
So as a follow-up, I think that one of the key issues is governments are still trying to fight new problems, new very complex problems with just old toolbox. And you mentioned the infrastructure bill, and a lot of startups, a lot of technology providers are looking into this bill to kind of maybe to see a potential in digitalizing the roads. But what is your take on this? Is it a real an opportunity, or it's more of the old stuff to come?
No, I think it's a real opportunity. To quote Secretary Buttigieg, he calls it the big deal. We had the New Deal 50 plus years ago. This is a big deal, and it has to do with big data. And big data is going to be here from now on. A lot of what we've talked about at this conference is really about taking data and integrating it, massaging it, and delivering a service or a resource of some kind. And so I think what you're seeing is a real approach to how do you use that data to be able to make better decisions, to provide better solutions for citizens. And so I think it's a real deal. And I think there's going to be real financial investment on behalf of the United States in state departments of transportation with an imperative to work locally. And as the incoming newly elected president of the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, our job, my priority is to help us do 2 things. 1, create a pathway to equity, and then 2, to be more collaborative with local governments because we don't have all the answers. Those solutions are going to be resolved locally with companies that are represented here and abroad working on the ground, making those decisions and making things happen.
Perfect, thank you very much. The next question is for you, Gil. So if we talked about the strategy of Uber coming up into the market, you had a different strategy. You're from day one choosing to partner with the municipalities, with local governments. Can you please share with us, first of all, kind of the mindset behind the strategy, also give kind of the value proposition that you're giving to municipalities?
Thank you. For sure. So yeah, GoTo actually offer today we understand it's better working with cities and with the municipality and actually for the citizens. And GoTo as a company actually provide today a technology that cover all the transportation needs for the user. So we offer from micromobility to mopeds to cars, long trip, short trip in actually one app. And by understanding that this is the only solution that can convince people to reduce or to give up their own car and actually start to use alternative mobility, we actually understand that we are the solution. And by offering our solution to the cities that actually we are facing exactly the same problem, we understand that by working together, we actually can gain a lot of profit. And the city of Tel Aviv is a great example, is a project that started in 2016 by understanding that if we really want to convince people to give up their own car, we need to give them a total solution. So I don't know if you know, but for example, the Autotel project that we are doing with Tel Aviv municipality is one of the best in the world in any index. Number of rides, number of riders, the LTV, the SLA that we give to the citizen. And the answer, we can ask ourselves why this project is so unique. And I think it's only because we're working for day one with the local government, thinking together on everything from where to allocate those cars up to what will be the price. Working with the municipality gives us the advantage to get a lot of data, what the citizen wants. And I think in the end, we prove that this is the right way to act, working end-to-end, offer the citizen the right product, and we see it in the numbers.
Perfect, thank you very much. Meital, so Tel Aviv is well known for its open innovation, and you're doing a lot for a municipality. Also, you won the Smart City, I think, 4 years ago, right? But what are you doing today to implement technologies and startups that are are coming. If you can elaborate a little bit.
Okay, so we are speaking about technology of mobility, and first of all, we have a vision to look at transportation as mobility as a service. And now I'm sitting here, and there is two companies that speaking about mobility as a service. It was Uber before, and now Car2, GoTo. And really, you can see that the attitude of the two companies was different, and that's why one of them is now in Israel, going up, and the second one, I don't know, that they don't work in Israel. But when Uber came to me a few years ago to speak with me, I told them, listen, I'm a municipality. In Israel, the government is very centralized, and we cannot do things that the government didn't allow us to do. So let's think how you can get inside the country without breaking the rule, because first get in without breaking the rule, and then change the rule. And they came together with Get Taxi. It was the same period. Two companies start getting into Israel in the same time. One of them decided to go against the government that says that we won't give to private car to give a service. We don't know how to do it. There is also a big power of the taxi driver, of the union of the taxi driver that will stop it. There is a political issue. And Get Taxi, the second company that started with Uber, decided to go with the taxi driver and to offer their technology due other kind of service. And that's worked for Get and didn't work for Uber. That's what we see. When I look at GoTo, I say they was brilliant. Really. They came to us, they offer something that suit our vision, and they sit with us and look at how can we do it as a service that the government, the city council can decide about, without interfering of the government. So we decided at the beginning about local service. Not metropolitan, we cannot decide about all the metropolitan, we cannot decide about all the country. Very local service that the city, because they made it as a custom-made suit for us, was also willing to put money on it and to make joint ventures. And they start with the bike, with the telephone, and they continue with the car, with the autotel, and they will continue and give more service in Tel Aviv and out of Tel Aviv. And that's a way to work in a country that you must know that the government is very centralized and the local authority have limited about their ability to break this line. And you have to know how to work with them. In Tel Aviv, we have this atmosphere and energy of open innovation, as you said, and we all the time look for technology and kind of and how we do it. We have an active way to act and we have a passive way to act. In the passive way, we have a form of technology that is open his door once in a month, once in a 2 months. Everybody is sitting there, decision maker, together with the worker that from the community department and from the computer department, from the transportation department and from the infrastructure department. All are sitting together and listening to the idea that come from outside. Things that we didn't invite to come in, but they come, they want to suggest us, and sometimes they suggest things that we didn't think about and we want them. And when we want the kind of idea, we ask how we can work together. Maybe we give them a place in our city lab. We have a city lab, a city zone we call it, and when it's a kind of technology that we want to advance, we give them to make a pilot, we give them a place to sit, we give them the help that we can. That's one way. The other way is active. We have problem in the city, and sometimes we can know what are the problem and to put the finger on the problem. For example, something that bothers us a lot today is the stealing of the bike. Okay, micromobility, we have about 30,000 steals of bike every year. It's become a disaster. It's hurt our vision to become the bicycle city, and therefore we decide about competition. We do a call for paper. We ask company to come and to help us with the police, with anybody that deal with this problem, to sit together and to try to find a solution. Either it's a technical solution of how to close the bike in the open area, or it's a application solution, or it's a map solution, or whatever. They taught me not to decide what is the solution, just to know to map the problem. And in the point that we know how to map the problem, and we do a call for, there is a great mind that outside that are ready to work with us and to give us the solution together with us. So we work non-stop on it.
Thank you very much. Decentralizing is something that is definitely something that's going on in the world, and we're seeing obviously in Israel as a very centralized country. It's definitely one of the solutions. So we're running out of time. I would love to have another set of questions. I think this topic eventually influence everyone who's driving and seeing the congestion and kind of cursing about the situation now. But I'll kind of turn on kind of the conclusion of the panel, which is, in the end, you have the private sector, and it's moving really, really fast, and it's advancing, and it's disrupting. But eventually, we will need the local governments to show the leadership. We will need them, and they will not move until us citizens will come and demand more. We need to demand more from the local governments, from the public officials. We need to demand more and to put mobility as something, the ministry just talk about, inclusion and the power, the amount of share, economic value, to people in connecting. You were also mentioning it, connecting rural population and introducing them to the economy. So in the end, it should be the number one priority for the government, and it's basically up to us, to the citizen, to raise our voices and demand more from the government.
But let me say one sentence. If you wait for the citizens to demand, they will demand parking. Okay? That's the first demand in Tel Aviv. Okay? You must lead. If you don't lead through your vision and you ask the people to demand, they won't demand from you to make the vision come true. They will tell you that's for the next generation, not now. And as a politician, it's sometimes very hard to lead things that are not popular. But after a few years, and you come for a limited time, after a few years, either you do history or you are history.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. You need to be brave. So I think in the end, technology companies like us can donate a lot to the cities from data issue, from the solution that we give. And I think totally right, Meital. You need to be brave. You need to do some things that maybe they are not the most sexy things, but again, to create this disruption, you must be brave and make those changes, because the problem it is, we have too many cars, we don't have enough parking spots. So the only thing that we can solve is by this technology. You need to be brave and implement those services. The solution is here. You don't need to wait to the next generation.
I totally agree. Joanna, we're time's up, so I'm getting screams on the earpiece. Any kind of last words?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, the Deputy Mayor, for all their observations. Just, on our side, what I can say is that the experience that she represented was somehow the old ways, and we have a very strong track record of working very effectively with municipalities, which is a testament to how I believe that partnership is absolutely needed and possible. And she pointed to private companies being welcome to provide some solutions. I do believe that a company with a global scale can absolutely partner in that sense and bring various, novelty solutions to those problems that she has pointed. So we very much look forward to working with her and with the government. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, guests.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.